Hey everyone, and welcome as we continue our study through the New Testament, looking at the 250 events in the life of Jesus. And today we're looking at Jesus teaching about the light within. And this comes from Luke 11, verses 33 through 36. And I want to hop into this real quick. It says, and starting in verse 33, it says, "No one lights a lamp and then hides it or puts it under a basket. Instead, a lamp is placed on a stand where its light can be seen by all who enter the house. Your eye is like a lamp that provides light for your body. When your eye is healthy, your whole body is filled with light. But when it is unhealthy, your body is filled with darkness. Make sure that the light you think you have is not actually darkness. If you are filled with light, with no dark corners, then your whole life will be radiant, as though a floodlight were filling you with light." And this is again a short section, so we'll hit this real quick. And so this will be a shorter video. But the lamp is Christ, right? The lamp that he's talking about is Christ. The eye represents spiritual understanding and insight that we're looking at. Evil desires, right, make the eye less sensitive and blot out the light of Christ's presence. And so we got to make sure we understand that meaning there is, the evil in our lives, evil desires can make us less sensitive to that light. Jesus held forth the light of the gospel for all to see. He brought it to everyone. The light of the gospel is presented to everyone, and he presented it to all kinds of people in his time. Those who rejected him and his message had bad spiritual eyesight. There were a lot of religious leaders. We've talked about them a lot. Jesus focused on them a lot. He pointed out a lot of their things in as we go through these lessons. And so they had bad spiritual eyesight. They knew the message, right? They just missed the light. They had become so, well, their evil desires, really, the for power and money and control had become so great that they missed the shining light that was right in front of them, and they couldn't see it. So it turned the light of Christ into darkness because they couldn't see. It was like filtered out. They couldn't see it. But those who received Christ, right? They by faith were filled with the light, and we see that. We should see that in ourselves. You should see that when someone gives their life to Christ. You should see that light coming from them. You shouldn't see a darkness coming from them. You shouldn't see, non Christ-like things coming from them. We should shine that same light that Jesus shown. And so, if you have a hard time seeing God at work in the world or in your life, or both, and in your life, you need to check your vision. You really need to check your vision, and make sure that you're not, get focused on the negative all the time, and focused on, and missing all the positive things that Jesus is bringing forth in your life, and that can be easy to do. Right? We live in a very negative world, and so we need to make sure that we don't let the darkness drown out the light, or basically filter the light out and keep it from being seen. And so the question then is are you any sinful desires blinding you to Christ? And that's the ultimate thing, right? Is the things that blind us to Christ typically are sinful desires, things we want to be able to do, or want, to have approved of, but that we know, hey, if we do this, this is not approved by God, by Christ, by the things that we do. And so we've got to be very careful, that we do not let the sinful desires, especially the sinful desires of the flesh, blind us to Christ. And there's, unfortunately, that happens. It happens a lot. And so we need to be careful with that. And then once we claim to be, or I'm sorry, let me reword that. Once we become Christians and we put our faith in Christ, we got to make sure we don't lose that light, right? Because there are a lot of people who've come to Christ, and you can see it in the way they live and the way their life is, that like when they first came, they're on fire. Man, Jesus' light shone in front of them, and then the world just kind of brings them down, or either evil desires, right? Things like power and money and control and those type of things, they can get in the way. And so we've got to make sure that we're very careful. That's why the Bible talks about surrendering a lot, and giving our lives to Christ, and surrendering our lives to Christ, and that our lives no longer his, but is ours. And so, I mean, the light that we see from Christ should shine out, and everyone else should see that same light. Now, it's not going to shine as bright as Christ did, because we're not perfect, right? We mess up, we make mistakes, we're going to have problems, we're going to struggle with things. But Christ himself, that it should shine each other. So make sure, right? That's where the double check should happen. Is, look, are you shining the same light? Is that light within you, right? That Jesus is talking about here. Because as Christians, we should shine Jesus. I mean, when people look at us, they should see the same light that Jesus shone with, and people should see that. They should look at us and be like, man, there is something different about that person, and we need to make sure that the world sees that light. As always, I appreciate everyone who watches these and follows along. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please go ahead and do so. And as always, I appreciate you for watching.